what's happening around the world
and what's happening here at home. A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Rochelle Dumodar.
and I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
7, including Secretary of the ex-Lanka Podujana Party, arrested for soliciting a bribe of 30 million rupees to offer party membership to Janaka Ratnayaka. 40 candidates deposit bonds to contest the presidential election. Acceptance of nominations tomorrow. Former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa supports Namal's presidential candidacy. Several parties, including the SLFP and the New Alliance, joined forces as the Podujana Eksat Peramuna to support the president. Anura Priyadarshana Yapa to lead the alliance. Partily pledges support to Sajid. Proposal to IMF to amend the personal income tax.
Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka decides.
Sri Lanka decides.
Starting off with news here at home, 7 people were arrested today for soliciting a bribe, which is 30 million rupees to offer membership of the ex-Lanka Podujana Party to presidential candidate Janaka Ratnayaka.
Janaka Ratnayaka, the former chairman of the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka, had announced his candidacy for the presidential election several months ago. He deposited bonds at the Election Commission as the presidential candidate of the ex-Lanka Podujana Party today. The chairman of the Electricity Users Association, known for his advocacy on issues such as electricity tariff revisions, spoke in support of Janaka Ratnayaka.
Today we deposited bonds for Janaka Ratnayaka. We hope to address the concerns of approximately 35% of voters who have refused to cast their vote. We believe we have presented a candidate who is well suited to meet their needs.
Meanwhile, 7 people, including the party secretary, were arrested at the ex-Lanka Podujana Party office in Rajagiriya. They were attempting to solicit the bribe of 30 million rupees. The arrests were made during a raid carried out in Rajagiriya by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. Authorities are currently conducting further investigations and interrogating the suspects, who are expected to be produced before court.
Bonds of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna's presidential candidate Namal Rajapaksa were deposited this morning. A group including General Secretary of the SLPP, Attorney Sagar Kariwasam, arrived at the Election Commission to deposit bonds.
සුබ මොහොතින් අප මුදල් සම්පත් කළා ජයග්‍රාහී ගමනේ තවත් පියවරක් ඉදිරියට තැබුවා. කොහොමද දැන් මෙතිවර සැලැස්ම? දිනනවා. එච්චරයි. ඉතා කෙටියෙන් කිව්වොත් සැප්තැම්බර් මාස 22 වෙනිදා වෙනකොට ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ නවවන ජනාධිපතිවරයා වශයෙන් නාමල් රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමා දිවුරුම් දෙන්න අවශ්‍ය ගමන යන්නේ. ඉවත් වෙලා ගිය පිරිස නව සන්දානයක් නව බලවේගයක් ගොඩනගනවා කියලා ප්‍රකාශ කරලා තියෙනවා. මොකක්ද ඒක කියන්නේ? කට්ටිය නව සන්දාන ගොඩනගන්නේ දැනටම පරාජය පිළිගත්ත හින්දා. දැන් මේ පෙරදිලා ඊළඟට කොහෙටද යන්නේ කියලා දන්නේ නැතුව දැන් පක්ෂ හදන්න ජනාධිපතිවරණය අමතක කරලා පක්ෂ හදන්න දඟලනවා. ඉතින් ඒක ඒගොල්ලන්ට කරගන්න අරින්න අපිට කියන්න තියෙන පව් කියලා අපි අපේ ගමන යනවා.
දුක්ඛපත්තාච නිදුක්ඛා භයපත්තාච නිබ්බයා.
Namal Rajapaksa signed his nomination papers this morning at the official residence of Mahinda Rajapaksa in Vijayarama Mawatha in Colombo. Family members including former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa were also in attendance.
ජනාධිපතිවරණ අපේක්ෂකයා ලෙස ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොදුජන පෙරමුණෙන් නාමල් රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමන් යෝජනා කොට ස්ථිර කරමින් හෙට දවසේ නාම යෝජනා පත්‍රය වාර දීම සඳහා මේ සුබ මූර්තියෙන් නාම යෝජනා පත්‍රය අසන් තැබීමයි ලෙස සිදු වුණේ.
මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ යුගයේ නතර වුණු අන්න ඒක නැවත ආරම්භ කරන්න මේ වෙලාවේ අපි
Namal Rajapaksa is the best candidate we have selected, continuing from where Mahinda Rajapaksa's legacy left off. Let us move forward with him. Namal Rajapaksa is the ideal leader to advance the development and future of this country. I believe those who have been influenced by Mahinda Rajapaksa will have the chance to speak positively once again. They made a mistake by not anticipating that Namal Rajapaksa would seek this position.
එයාට පොඩි වැරද්දක් වුණා. නාමල් රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමා ස්ථිරවම ඉල්ලයි කියලා ඒගොල්ලෝ හිතුවේ නෑ. ඒගොල්ලෝ දන්නේ නෑ.
Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna MPs backing President Ranil Wickremesinghe, several progressive left-wing political parties, including the New Alliance, led by the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, have joined forces with the Podujana Eksat Peramuna. The formal announcement was made this morning at a ceremony held in Battaramulla. The New Alliance will be led by Member of Parliament Anura Priyadarshana Yapa. The leadership board comprises 21 members, including Ministers Nimal Siripala de Silva, Mahinda Amaravira and Douglas Devananda. Key positions within the alliance have been filled by prominent political figures. State Minister Lasantha Lagiyawana will serve as secretary, while State Minister Chamara Sampath Dasanayaka has been appointed treasurer. Member of Parliament Johnson Viratna will act as the patron of the alliance.
අද දේශපාලන පක්ෂවල නායකයින් පවත්වාගෙන යනුමල කිචන් කැබිනට් අපේ නැහැ. කිචන් දේශපාලන
Today's political party leaders are not aligned with us. There are no kitchen cabinets or political boards with us. It is this leadership board that will be held accountable. We formed this alliance not to shield the prince but to address the family politics that have long plagued Sri Lankan politics. The detrimental impact of such politics on Sri Lanka's economy and political landscape cannot be overstated. Posters are currently being displayed calling him the beloved son. He must be the beloved son of his mother and father, but he isn't a beloved son to us. As the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, we are united in our support for Ranil Wickremesinghe among the current candidates. This decision represents the consensus of the alliance. Without him, our country risks descending into a situation just like Bangladesh. Have those outside family circles been able to secure political positions based on merit?
දේශපාලනේ තනක් ලබා ගන්න පදවියක් ලබා ගන්න.
එනිසා අපි මතයක් හැටියට තීන්දුව කළා තියෙනවා මේ සන්නානේ හහ ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය ඇතුළු අපේ ප්‍රගතිශීලීන් සියලු දෙනාම.
We have resolved that all progressives within the Sri Lanka Freedom Party should support Ranil Wickremesinghe at this election. We have observed that some individuals who share our views are presenting themselves as intermediaries pursuing their own interests. This must be rejected with utmost disapproval.
තමන්ගේ සුඛවිහරණය වෙනුවෙන් කටයුතු කරනවා. අපි මේක පිළිකුලෙන් බැහැර කරන්න ඕනේ.
The new website of the Podujana Eksat Peramuna was also launched during the event.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe today officially signed his nomination papers for the presidential election. This was held at his political operations office in Flower Road, Colombo. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, along with other ministers and numerous representatives from parties supporting the president, were in attendance. The All Ceylon Makkah Congress, led by Rishad Baduddin, has reached a decision to support opposition leader Sajid Premadasa in the presidential election. The decision was reached when the party's high-level meeting was held in Colombo a short while ago.
After having a long deliberation this evening, and also the past week, we had a first round of discussions seeking opinion of all our High Command members. This is subsequent to our leadership and party officials visiting several districts, meeting with the party membership, and after receiving their opinions, it was decided by the district level party supporters as well as the former MPs and local government representatives, provincial councillors, that the party high command at this meeting can decide unanimously as to whom we shall support in the presidential election 2024. Accordingly, this evening we met here, the political authority as well as the high command of the All Ceylon Makkah Congress met and taken a unanimous decision, that is to support Mr. Sajid Premadasa in the upcoming presidential election. As a party, we will be working to ensure the victory of Mr. Sajid Premadasa at the forthcoming presidential election.
The United Republic Front, led by Patali Champika Ranawaka, signed an agreement with the Samagi Janasandhani today, declaring support for the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa in the presidential election.
Leader of the United Republic Front, Patali Champika Ranawaka, and the General Secretary Bambula Chandrasekhara signed the agreement on behalf of the party. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa and Party General Secretary Ranjit Madhuma Bandara signed the agreement on behalf of the Samagi Janasandhani.
We suggest that on the 21st of September, all of you from north, south, east and west come together and use this election to take back the sovereignty and the nation that was taken away from us. We are not at all opposing the temporary stability of the economy that the President has created for us today. But remember that this economic stability alone is not enough for us. The process that he followed to acquire it, the country's debt restructuring, was done with a policy that puts the burden on the working people who have been affected by bankruptcy without putting the burden on those responsible for this bankruptcy. The tax policy was created the same way. Instead of the insensitive process, we have put forward a large number of proposals in this parliament on how to increase the country's revenue, how to increase the family income, how to reduce family expenses, how to reduce the burden on the public sector, and how to make the public sector efficient. That is why we request the people of this country. This is not the time for new experiments. This is a country where 30,000 people were killed after consuming the Dhammika tonic, which claimed to be a traditional medicine. A country where 1.4 million farmers, 22 million people who ate 3 meals a day now eat a simple roti after trying to engage in traditional farming, rejecting all chemical and inorganic fertilizers. There is no need to bring the country down by trying such experiments.
අලුත් අත්හදා බැලීම් විප්ලවකාරී අත්හදා බැලීම් කරන්න ගිහිල්ලා රට වටාගට යුතු නැහැ.
කාර්යක්ෂම සුහුරු රටක් සංවර්ධිත රටක් සැමට
I am extremely happy that the journey of creating an efficient, smart and developed country, a country where prosperity can be shared by all and a country where economic growth is inclusive for everyone, has been strengthened today. In recent times, the people of this country have experienced two main economic currents in different government regimes. One is the power-hungry, wealth-loving lumpen capitalism that operates in the extreme right-wing capitalist system centered around unlimited greed, desire, profit and cronies. On the other hand, a closed country, the failed extreme socialist system suffering from island mentality, praising them in isolation, standing in front of the mirror and cheering for themselves on a lonely journey. Samagi Jana Balawegaya and the Samagi Janasandhani do not present either of these. We follow social democracy. We believe that the social market economy, the free market economy that operates according to demand and supply, is the best way to generate wealth that is essential for a country.
ඉල්ලුම සැපයීම අනුව ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන නිදහස් ආර්ථිකය රටකට අත්‍යවශ්‍ය ධනය උත්පාදනය කරන්නට තිබෙන හොඳම ක්‍රමය.
Presidential candidate Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa also signed his nomination papers this morning. In the presence of religious leaders, including the Mahasangha, the former minister completed the nomination process at his residence in Colombo. Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa is preparing to contest for president as a candidate of the National Democratic Front.
අපේක්ෂකයා මමනේ මම විතරයි නැස්සම් කරන්නේ. එතුමාගේ සහාය කොහොමද තාම තියෙද? සහාය ලැබෙයි. ලැබුණොත් බාර ගන්නව නැත්නම් ඒකත් බාර ගන්න. මම ඒක ඇහුවේ සමගි ජන බලවේගයට යනවා කියලා කතාවක් තියුණු මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මැතිතුමා. මමත් කතාවක් අහලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒක එහෙම වෙනවා නම් මං
I have also heard such stories. If it happens, I believe the people of the country will make a better decision about it. That will not make me any less motivated. Ask the current president, who has now gathered 92 MPs from the Pohot tour to challenge me and collect at least 10,000 votes from those two electorates. Ranil Wickremesinghe had a base of about 2 million votes a month ago. Now it has decreased to less than 1 million. Since the gathering of the corrupt group from Pohot tour, 90% of those who said they would vote for Ranil Wickremesinghe have decided against it.
Presidential candidate Dilith Jayavira attended the second episode of the program conducted by the United Centenary Front named Presidential Town Hall with Gen Z and Millennials.
ජාතිකත්ව කඳවුර නියෝජනය කරපු පුද්ගලයෙක් අවුරුදු 30ක් පුරා
I have represented the nationalist camp for 3 decades and remain in it today. Where does my motivation come from? I supported Gotabe Rajapaksa most recently. I toiled hard because I held a great belief. I regret the opportunity we lost. Even Gotabe Rajapaksa was unable to free himself from his family. In such a situation, if family politics is what is being promoted at this election too, I have a responsibility to challenge it.
අභියෝග කරන්නට මට වගකීමක් තියෙනවා. නමුත් එතනදී ඒ සිදුණු වැරදීමෙන් ශ්‍රී ලංකාව විශාල ප්‍රපාතයකට වැටුණා. විශාල පසුතැවීමක් තියෙනවා. ඒ පසුතැවීම එන්නේ ඔබ කියන අර්ථයෙන්ම නෙමෙයි. අත ළඟ තිබුණු අපිට වෙනස් කරගන්නට පුළුවන් වූ මේ රට අපිට වෙනස් කරගන්නට බැරි වුණ නිසා වෙන
I bear a great regret, but it isn't the same as to what you are referring. My primary regret is missing the opportunity to change this country, which was within touching distance. It's not as if I was aware of the risk involved, but I did not think it would unfold that way. I completely reject racism. I am someone who stood against it. Unfortunately, it was applied to me by association. My Muslim friends are aware of how open I am. They know how much I committed myself to secure their sacred practice when that issue arose. I did not think of my own gain or benefit. I very clearly state, without fear, that there is no room for racism in this country, mainly because it goes against the morals of our nation.
මම දැන් කියනවා බය නැතුව මේ රටේ කිසිසේත්ම ජාතිවාදය තියෙන්නට බෑ. තියෙන්නට බැරි හේතුව අපේ සભ્યත්වයේ ඒකට අයිතියක් නැහැ.
ඒ වගේම තමයි දැන් ඔබ කිව්වා වගේ සමහරට ඔබතුමා පෞද්ගලික ඒකට මේ සපෝට් කරන්නේ නැති වුණාට channel එකෙන් අර භූමි දානයේද ආදාහනය කියන එකට කිසිම විද්‍යාත්මක පදනමක් නැති ආදාහනයට ඒක සමාජගත කරන්න නාලිකාව ලොකු contribution එකක් කරා. ඒක කොහොමද ඔබතුමාගේ නායකත්වයට එහෙම දෙයක් වුණා?
සාහිර් එසේ නොවුණු බවයි මගේ විශ්වාසය. එසේ
I do not think that was the case, at least not to that extent. My reading is that such a narrative was promoted through social media due to politicization. You know, it is a singular media channel. We have our own viewership. Young men and women like you are the ones who are employed there. It is a representation of overall society. I responsibly state I have not influenced a single tagline in that channel. I have not even pressed a single button in it. I have not been involved in the news and I will not do so either.
The deadline to place cash deposits for the upcoming presidential election concluded at noon today, and accordingly, accepting nominations for candidates will commence at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
40 candidates have placed cash deposits for the 2024 presidential election, while the National Election Commission announced that nominations will be accepted between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. tomorrow, the 15th of August. The protest period will be 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m.
The candidates eligible to contest will be announced after 11:30 a.m. We have already held discussions with the police on where party supporters can station themselves. That information has been conveyed to the relevant parties and independent groups. We believe that they will fulfill their responsibilities and act accordingly as we enter the initial phase of conducting a free and fair election.
A special security and traffic plan has been scheduled in the vicinity of the National Election Commission premises in Rajagiri tomorrow in anticipation of nomination day.
A traffic plan will be in effect from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. The exit lane on Sri Jayawardhanapura Road from Ayurveda Junction to Rajagiriya Junction will be completely restricted. Therefore, motorists are urged to avoid using Sri Jayawardhanapura Road from Polduwa Junction to DS Senanayaka Junction unless absolutely essential. We also request the public to avoid Kota Road, Ayurveda Junction and Old Kotte Road from Rajagiriya Junction to Borella Junction during this period unless necessary. If a certain candidate is facing travel difficulties due to vehicular traffic, they can seek assistance by dialing 0718 591 741 or 0112 433 333.
ඒ වගේම හදිසි ඇමතුම් අංශයේ දුරකථන අංකය 0112 4යි 3 5යි.
The National Election Commission has announced dates for postal voting for the presidential election to be conducted.
තැපැල් ඡන්ද නිකුත් කිරීම අගෝස්තු මාසයේ 26 වෙනිදා අදාළ දිස්ත්‍රික් ලේකම් කාර්යාලයේදී සිදු කරනවා. ඒත් එක්ක මේ
Postal votes will be issued on the 26th of August to respective district secretariats. Once the postal votes are received by certifying officers, postal voting will be conducted on the 4th of September for district secretaries, election officers and the police. Thereafter, the 5th and 6th of September have been designated for other government employees to cast their postal votes. If one is unable to cast their postal vote on the 5th or 6th of September, they will be able to cast their vote on the 11th and 12th of September at the district secretariat located in the area of their employment.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe has said that relief for personal income tax can be expected soon. We will bring you more of this story after this short commercial break.
රටක් ලෙස අප හමුවේ ඇති සිහින අනාගතයට අප රැගෙන යන බලාපොරොත්තුවයි. සැපවත් නගරවල මෙන්ම දුප්පත් ගම්මානවල පොදු සිහිනය. යහපත් හෙට දවසක්. ඒ සිහිනය ජයගන්නට එක්ව නැගිටිමු. ගම්මැද්ද රට නගන ජන පෞර.
You want to create your life, create it. This is your opportunity to change your destiny. සඳහි දක්ෂිණ ද්‍රවයට ගොඩ පැසූ අතර මේ ඔවුන්ගේ චන්ද්‍ර ගවේෂණයේ පළමු මෙහෙයුමයි. Bring us this witness season 4 Saturday at 6:30 p.m. on TV1.
Welcome back to the news. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has said that relief for personal income tax can be expected soon.
In a keynote address at the University Lecturers Conference held yesterday in Colombo, President Ranil Wickremesinghe revealed plans to provide relief for personal income tax in the near future.
We are now in the next stage of discussing the tax thresholds, because we have had a very strong performance in the economy this year. We hope to maintain it next year. So now we are looking at adjustments to the personal income tax structure to provide some relief to the taxpayers in that way. So we are now working at bringing the tax slab up to, for example, propose an adjustment to the personal income tax slabs. At the moment, we are having two proposals. One is a proposal by the officials of the Treasury, other is a proposal by the officials of the IMF. So we are now looking at the comparisons of what it will happen, and we are working it out. But both these means that there is going to be a question of relief, which we've been talking with the IMF, and I have no doubt that we can go ahead with one of these things. Anyway, let the officials decide. But the economy is growing. We can grow, but we must grow faster. That's why we have to look at the future.
The President's Media Division has said that the government has proposed to the International Monetary Fund an adjustment in personal income tax slabs from 500,000 rupees to 720,000 rupees, aiming to provide relief to mid-level taxpayers affected by the recent tax reforms.
Samagi Jana Balavegya MP Dr. Harsha De Silva expressed these views in Kadwala today.
ඊයේ ආණ්ඩුව මුදල් අවශ්‍යතාවයක් වෙලා භාණ්ඩාගාර බැඳුම් කර වෙන්දේසියක් කර
Yesterday, the government needed money and held an auction of treasury bonds to raise a certain amount of funds. During this auction, some bidders demanded high interest rates. As a result, the government missed the opportunity to secure funds at 9% interest, and the rate has now increased to 13%. Some are attempting to suggest that if the government falls and a new team takes office, there will be panic and it will be challenging to collect money. Consequently, they are arguing that loans to the government should be offered at 12.5, 13 or even 13.5%. Next week, the rates may rise even further. By doing this, they are trying to create fear and portray themselves as the only ones capable of managing this situation. I urge President Ranil Wickremesinghe, government officials and the central bank not to be deceived by such unfounded and illogical claims. We, as a responsible opposition, are committed to maintaining stability. When we assume government responsibilities in a few weeks, we will continue to be a responsible government. We are working to ensure that interest rates and exchange rates remain stable without allowing the current government to disrupt our economy.
The National People's Power Mirigama Three-Wheeler Drivers Trade Union meeting was held today. The event held under the leadership of Gampaha District MP Vijitha Hera.
Ranil claims he has rebuilt the economy. If so, how has the price of a litre of petrol that was at 117 rupees risen to 344? Today, the leaders who have led the country into a collapse through fraud and corruption are now approaching the presidential election, and you can see them jumping back and forth. One day they jump to one side and the next day they jump back. Mahindananda Alupgamage said he would not rest until Ranil is imprisoned, yet he is now comfortably with Ranil. The stories narrated by Rohitabe Gunawardana and Prasanna Ranatunga are about Ranil, aren't they? Listening to them is like hearing an old tape recorder. I just cannot. It is disgusting. With these developments, what waves of frustration and dismay are to come? This mess was created by their dirty politics. Observe how many times the SLPP's chairman, GL Piris, has crossed over. What did Sarath Fonseca, former chairman of the SJB, say? Sarath Fonseca is the Justice Minister responsible for law and order in Sajid's government. He was eventually expelled for violating the party constitution. Now, the SJB chairman is out and the SLPP chairman is in. It is all just political games.
Another Samagi Jana Power rally was held in Agalawate today, and the rally was chaired by opposition leader Sajid Premadasa. Several generations lost a bright future as a result of the wrong decisions reached by inept leaders over the past couple of decades. The youth has lost the opportunity to make their dreams a reality. We have the responsibility to correct the wrongs of the past few decades. It is a daunting task and a challenge, but I assure you, I will take this country towards the correct path. Before advising the 22 million people as the head of state, as the leader, I will make the greatest sacrifice and be an exemplary character committed to the people.
Former Test cricketer T.M. Dilshan, who joined the Samagi Jana Balawege this morning, also participated in this rally.
Sajid Premadasa is one of the leaders who did the most as an opposition leader. If he did so much as the opposition leader, imagine how much he would be able to do when he is elected president in a few days.
Ilake Tamil Arsukatru MPs, President's Council M.A. Sumathiran and Shanakyan Rasamanikam held separate discussions with the President's faction today. What was discussed during these meetings that took place at the President's office on 2 occasions?
He said
that he wants the support of the Tamil community. He wants to show that he has the support of all communities. He knows it is difficult for him to win this election. If he is contesting this election targeting the 2029 election, I told him the Tamil community must be aware of his policies regarding the Tamil national issue and devolution of power. That is when he said he has no objection to the devolution of police powers. If he is saying that, our community will also consider it. The discussion focused on schools in the Batticaloa district, a public market, education zone and private lands that are under the government and the army. During Gotabaya Rajapaksa's tenure as president, it was agreed to release some lands. But before the process ended, Gotabaya Rajapaksa was removed from power through the Aragalaya. There were obstructions to continue the relevant work. A discussion was held with officials, including the army commander today, to assess the progress. Views were expressed regarding the salary anomalies of the plantation workers during the summer Tamil political program held yesterday. Yesterday, a matter which was already been discussed at the wages board was presented again, similar to how an old roti is reheated. We are unaware of how practical it is. This is an election period. It might be met with opposition. We don't return the old roti. We threw away the spoiled roti and replaced it with a new one. That is the truth. The government, unions and the people had a request, but no one from the Planters Association joined the discussions. Then we thought we need to seek legal redress. Then we decided at the wages board that 1,700 rupees must be given. Thereafter, like we assumed, Planters Associations went to court. Mujibur Rahman claimed that Sadit Premadasa contested, although he has resigned to his fate, which was defeat. He said it was his political strategy. Similar to that, this is our strategy. Once we went to court, we were asked why the Planters Association did not join these discussions. Our response was, although 6 meetings were held, they boycotted all of them. The judge has ordered them to attend meetings held in the future. They did not make a large roti, but instead it was a dummy. They spoke highly of making a large roti, but only made the 1,350 rupee roti. That is a small roti. On the 1st of May, the president made a promise to the plantation workers, but now he is unable to fulfill that promise. This is a false promise. Only a month and 10 days are left for the election. The 1,700 rupees salary was announced by you. Why couldn't you do it 2 years ago? The Planters Association claimed they cannot increase wages from the inception. Finally, we have managed to secure a basic salary of 1,350 rupees. A further 350 rupees will be paid as a productivity allowance.
A fundamental rights petition was filed before the Supreme Court today, seeking an interim injunction preventing Ranil Wickremesinghe from contesting in the presidential election on the 21st of September 2024. The petition was filed by Attorney-at-Law RSP Ranasuriya.
The petitioner is seeking a determination stating that the president is unsuitable to contest the presidential election as he violated the constitution by disregarding a Supreme Court determination. The petitioner states that the president has violated the provisions of the constitution by failing to appoint justices to the Supreme Court in accordance with the constitution and threatened public safety by failing to appoint an acting IGP. The petition further states that the president has intentionally violated the constitution and abused his power through these actions and is therefore unfit to be a presidential candidate.
Several weeks ago, the Supreme Court issued an interim injunction preventing the Inspector General of Police from carrying out his duties, but the Supreme Court order clearly stated that the President has the authority to appoint an acting IGP in his place. The government's stance on the matter so far was that the President cannot appoint an acting IGP as he is a presidential candidate. But on the 12th of August, Minister Ali Sabri was appointed as the Minister of Justice. The President cannot influence the laws to his will. The laws in this country apply to the President as well. Initially, we spoke of the violation of the Constitution by the President. Today, Sri Lanka Police has no leader, so if something happens, there is no one to take responsibility. Through this petition, we are seeking a court order for the President to appoint an acting IGP.
වගකීම් ගන්න පුද්ගලයෙක් නැහැ. එහෙනම් අපි මේ පෙත්සමෙන් ඉල්ලන්නේ ගරු ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධින් අපි ඉල්ලා තියෙන්නේ ජනාධිපතිවරයාට වැඩ බලන පොලිස්පතිවරයෙක් පත් කරන්න නියෝගයක් ලබා දෙන්න කියලා.
Although Sri Lanka's farming community plays a crucial role in our sustenance, they endure untold hardships on a daily basis. This is one such story reported from Kantale.
Paddy is being harvested in many parts of Sri Lanka at present, and farmers claim they are unable to fetch a reasonable price for their harvest. Farmers in Kantale usually transport their paddy to be dried on the Agbopuram main road. But an unfortunate scene arose last evening, and the farmers had to act quickly to save their harvest.
We reap this harvest after grueling 3 months. We get the help of paid workers to dry this harvest, but now it's wet. We have to spend another 3 days to dry it again. This kiri samba is purchased at 5,000 or 6,000 rupees. We are finding it difficult to make ends meet.
We sow in others' fields. When we hand a portion of our harvest to the owner of the field and are unable to get a good price for the rest, what are we to do? Give us a fair price. People are helpless. We need a proper solution.
During a media briefing held in Colombo today, the National Convention of Farmers revealed that Sri Lanka's farming community consists of 2.3 million families.
Sri Lanka has 2.3 million farming families, which makes up over 6 million voters. None of the candidates have presented a plan to the country on how they will tackle the issues of farmers. There are 3 main concerns to be resolved swiftly. The first is the fertilizer subsidy. Will organic or chemical fertilizer be provided, or is it going to be a mix of both? There needs to be a clear policy on that. Several officials keep tampering with the seasons of sowing, leading farmers to face severe complications. That needs a proper program. The final concern is the matter where food items that are able to be cultivated in the country being imported to suit trade ministers. That too needs a very honest statement.
A community's resilience is often tested by its most basic needs.
The people of Parasangaswava have shown extraordinary strength in facing the challenge of water scarcity.
Today, they take a significant step towards a brighter future.
For years, the people of Parasangaswava endured a grueling reality, a journey that has defined their lives. But those days are ending. Today, Gammadda took a big step. The foundation stone was laid for a new water purification plant. It is more than just concrete and pipes. It is a symbol of hope, resilience, and a community's unwavering spirit. The project is a testament to the kindness of Mr. P.A.D. Premadasa and Mrs. Ramya Imbulgoda from Kalapaluava, Rajagiriya. Their belief in improving the lives of rural communities has made this project a reality. Government officials, Navy personnel and local leaders joined hands to celebrate this occasion. Soon, the simple act of turning a tap will be a reality for these villagers. A reality that promises better health, more time for families, and a brighter future. This isn't merely a project. It is a promise fulfilled. Gammadda, for the people, by the people.
The power of the people.
20 Sri Lankan youth who were trapped in a cyber slave camp in Myanmar have been rescued. The Sri Lankan embassy in Myanmar announced that they were taken to Thailand this evening.
The Sri Lankan embassy in Myanmar confirmed that all the rescued Sri Lankans are safe. They were kept in a slave camp in Meweddi and were used for various cyber crimes. Newsfirst has continuously reported facts on this matter since last year. 8 Sri Lankans were rescued on a previous occasion. Around 30 more Sri Lankans continue to be trapped in a cyber slave camp located 25 kilometers from Meweddi town.
Sri Lanka's new Justice Minister President's Council Ali Sabri said that Sri Lanka does not get the deserved respect and acceptability for what it has done in the past in adhering to international humanitarian law. He was speaking at the event held to mark the 75th anniversary of the 1949 Geneva Conventions.
12th of August marked the 75th anniversary of the 1949 Geneva Conventions, which sit at the core of international humanitarian law.
The warring party is upholding the Geneva Conventions.
Ministry of Foreign Affairs Sri Lanka, International Committee of the Red Cross and the Embassy of Switzerland to Sri Lanka and the Maldives commemorated 75 years of international humanitarian law in Colombo.
It was this humanitarian spirit that led to the first Geneva Convention of 1864 and to the birth of modern international humanitarian law.
Sri Lanka experienced an internal armed conflict for almost 30 years, which ended in 2009. During the said conflict period, Sri Lanka was committed to provide humanitarian assistance in the form of food, medicine, medical equipment and other vital supplies to the civilians in need, including those who were in the occupied areas by the LTTE. All these demonstrate Sri Lanka's commitment towards its obligation under IHL in order to address the remaining humanitarian issues that arose during the conflict. We had a mechanism in which there was an essential service commissioner 24/7 looking at the necessities which were required for the civilians who got caught in that part of the world. We knew a good percentage of that will go and end up in the hands of LTTE. Yet, it was our obligations to look after our civilians. There are members of our armed forces which are eternally grateful. 26,000 of them laid their lives to protect the dignity and the territorial integrity of our country. At the end of the conflict, people did not go away or run away from the armed forces. They in fact came towards the armed forces. That means they saw them as their saviors, not otherwise. I do not think that Sri Lanka get the deserved respect and acceptability for what we have done in the past. So, let us therefore embrace a collective responsibility and reaffirm our commitment to protecting human dignity, making stride towards a future where suffering due to the armed conflict is minimized and the inherent value of every human life is upheld. The Geneva Conventions have been fundamental in the protecting the persons affected by the armed conflict in the past 75 years, and international humanitarian law remains highly relevant for all contemporary armed conflict. And let us renew our pledge to uphold and strengthen international humanitarian law, ensuring that even in the darkest of times, humanity prevails.
A photo exhibition themed 75 years of the Geneva Conventions, Global and Sri Lankan Perspectives was organized to mark the event.
The International Committee of the Red Cross has called on the world to respect the Geneva Conventions as the international treaties setting out the rules of war mark their 75th anniversary. They also said on Monday that the rule book for the conduct of war is under strain and often disregarded.
International humanitarian law is under strain, disregarded, undermined to justify violence. More than ever, the world must recommit to this robust protective framework for armed conflict. Today, There are more than 120 conflicts recorded by my organization. And while governments and media focus on destruction in Ukraine and Gaza, armed conflicts elsewhere take a similarly shocking toll. Violence in Ethiopia has claimed hundreds of thousands of lives. Fighting has displaced 8 million in Sudan and 6 million in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Protracted conflicts in Mali, the Central African Republic, Colombia, Mozambique, Myanmar, Syria and Yemen all take a grinding human cost.
The Pakistan High Commission in Sri Lanka celebrated the country's Independence Day in Colombo.
Pakistan is celebrating its 78th Independence Day, and an event was organized by the High Commission of Pakistan in Colombo. The main feature of the Independence Day celebrations will be a national flag hoisting ceremony in Islamabad. Similar flag hoisting ceremonies took place at Pakistan missions across the world, including Sri Lanka.
So I hope you can enjoy that movie if someone could not be able to get the tickets today. So if you all, I would request
Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan has come a long way since that fateful day. Despite facing numerous challenges, our resilient nation has made remarkable strides in various fields. From economic development to scientific achievements, from cultural heritage to the arts, Pakistan has made its mark on the global stage. Excellencies, our bilateral relationship with Sri Lanka has been a testament to the enduring friendship between our two nations. Our ties are rooted in shared history, cultural affinity and mutual respect. As we look to the future, I am confident that our relationship will continue to grow, benefiting both our peoples and contributing to regional peace and prosperity. The bond between Pakistan and Sri Lanka runs deep in history, with shared values and unwavering support for one another. We are truly blessed to have such a steadfast friend in our journey towards progress and development. Together we have faced challenges and celebrated successes. Our partnership is strong and I am certain it will flourish in the years to come.
The Pakistani community in Sri Lanka were among those present at the High Commission premises to take part in the celebrations.
Day 52 of the third phase of the LOLC Divisavya program, which is being carried out for the betterment of Sri Lanka's future generation, got underway today.
Today's program was centered around the Walasmul education zone in the Hambantota district. Under the Divisavya program, exercise books and stationery equipment required for a year are distributed free of charge to government schools with less than 150 students. Accordingly, school bags and stationery equipment were donated to students of Kon Karahena Kanishta Vidyalaya, Keradeniya Kanishta Vidyalaya, Egodabeda Mahavidyalaya, Ittademaliya Mahavidyalaya, Nathuwila Primary School, Omara Mahavidyalaya and Oluwara Bandaranayaka Kanishta Vidyalaya. The program was also carried out at the Walasmula Zonal Education Office today. The LOLC Divisavya program continues to forge ahead for the future generation of Sri Lanka.
Onto news overseas, a Thai court has dismissed Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin for appointing to his cabinet a former lawyer who was once jailed.
The Constitutional Court ruled that Shweta Thavisin had violated the rules on ethics with the display of defiant behaviour. The 62-year-old Shweta, who has been in power for less than a year, is the third Prime Minister in 16 years to be removed by the same court. Shweta's dismissal means he has now gone the way of so many other parties and administrations in Thailand, felled by the disproportionate power of the country's Constitutional Court. 5 of the 9 judges ruled that Shweta had indeed violated the ethics of his office by appointing a lawyer who had a criminal conviction to his cabinet, despite him quitting after just 19 days.
A talk by former Prime Minister Liz Truss has been interrupted by political activists who unfurled a banner featuring a lettuce with eyes and the words, quote-unquote, "I crash the economy."
The average American is not doing well, and people do vote on, I think it was Bill Clinton's advisor who said it's the economy's stupid. So I think that he will probably win. On that. I've got a list of Trump questions, by the way.
Activists from the group, led by donkeys, posted a clip of the stunt on X, saying they dropped in on Liz Truss's pro-Trump speaking tour with a remote-control lettuce banner. The same group were behind a similar stunt earlier this year, where a speech by Nigel Farage was disrupted by a remote-controlled banner with a picture of the Russian president which read, quote-unquote, "I heart Putin."
And with that, we wrap up Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.